Hey there, how you doing? I'm finally back. This is Eric Gallagher, the Red Yankee. You can read more about me on my blog, which is redyankeepress.blogspot.com, and over there you'll find a lengthy dissertation that I wrote last year when they released the discovery in the Zimmerman case, and lo and behold, my analysis proved to be pretty much spot on. I'm getting a few of my detractors out there are telling me that I'm an idiot and I'm wrong and all that, but they're passing judgment without actually reading what I wrote. And if you take the time to read what I wrote a year ago, I pretty much predicted at least in some context, each and every item that's in my analysis was borne out by the trial. For instance, Zimmerman did advance up ahead and chased him back down to the tee and flushed him out. This was borne out through the testimony of Mrs. Bahadur. And then Zimmerman was acquitted largely due to three factors. Number one, the fake photo of the broken nose, that which the prosecution allowed and didn't object into entering it into evidence. And number two, the deliberate mishandling of the evidence by the Volusia County Medical Examiner's Office. As Dr. DeMeo, the expert ME from San Antonio, testified to, taking the wet clothes and bagging them in plastic instead of paper or drying them out is, a departure from all standards and norms, and it couldn't be something that they didn't know. This is like, medical examiner 101. It's deliberate, and nobody can be that incompetent to make all of the mistakes that the Volusia County Medical Examiner's Office made. And then to top it all off, he testified as a horrible witness to impeach any findings. He basically sat up there like Sergeant Schultz, I know nothing, and I might change my mind in an hour, and so forth. And this is large, those two things, the photo, the medical examiner's office, and the fact that prosecutor Angela Corey decided to go after a charge that she couldn't prove, and deliberately so, all led to Zimmerman walking, which validated all of the original findings by the Sanford police, which coincidentally is an outcome the Republican Party politically staked themselves to heavily last year when this all went down. To all you Zimmerman true believers who think that Zimmerman was really assaulted, I got news for you. All you have to do is look at page 18 of the discovery. That photo with the broken nose, the photo that proves he has a broken nose, is fake. It was not taken the night of the shooting. This photo miraculously appeared 22 days after the shooting, and it only came into existence only a few days before the investigation was taken out of the hands of the local authorities, and only days before the no confidence vote that ultimately led to the firing of the chief of police. So, it's right there in writing, and if you people don't understand why we have protocols and rules of procedure for the establishment and the admissibility of evidence, then there's nothing you do understand. There's a reason why we have protocols and procedures. So the police just can't say, we had this picture that proves he had a broken nose, and we just forgot about it, but now it's here, and we're the police, you have to believe us. And if that in of itself isn't good enough to prove it to you, there's also one additional thing that came out at the trial, which beyond any doubt proves that Zimmerman did not have a broken nose on the night in question. And that is the testimony and the actions of, what was his name? The UPS guy who took the picture. Remember, he was the first one on the scene. He came out and he took 2 pictures, and immediately after the shooting, before the police arrived. And this witness, I can't remember his name. He Filipino guy. He was a UPS driver. Like I said, he was the first guy on the scene before the police, and he took 2 pictures of, and the first picture he took was of the back of George's head. And what did he take of the second picture? You know what he took? He took a picture of George's leg, right? Yeah, he took a picture of George Zimmerman's leg. And why did he do that? Because George's leg was broken, right? Oh, no, that's right, I forgot. He didn't take a picture of George's leg. You know why he didn't take a picture of George's leg? Because nothing was wrong with George's leg. George's leg wasn't broken, and that's why the witness didn't take a picture of George's leg. And for that same reason, that's the reason why this guy didn't take a picture of George's nose. George's nose wasn't broken. Why in the world, if the purpose of George asking this guy to take this picture was to document his injuries, why would this guy take a picture of the back of George's head when those injuries were minor compared to his face, that which they say his nose was busted open and it was bleeding like a faucet? There's no reason, no credible reason why if this guy was taking a picture to document the injuries of George Zimmerman, that he wouldn't take a picture of his face. The reason why he didn't take a picture of his face, because there wasn't anything wrong with his face. And it wasn't until after, when the case was being taken away from the local authorities, did they even need to come up with a better cover story. I mean, some people out there think, oh, well, it's okay, But what people don't understand, the rules are there for a reason, because the police, the law should treat everybody equally. The police shouldn't have the discretion to, we'll frame the evidence this way to get this guy, but this other guy, he's a good guy, and we'll let him go. That's not up to the chief of police or Detective Serino. That's up to the people, and there wasn't a proper airing of accurate evidence in this instance, and that's why George Zimmerman was allowed to go free. Regarding the Volusia County Medical Examiner's Office, look, you got to just look at if Zimmerman didn't have a broken nose, and he didn't, where are these marks all over his head coming from? Well, like I wrote, the ones in the front, you can tell they're from pushing away, and the ones on the back, they're fingernail marks. Fingernails, scratches leave long, straight, skinny lines, just like George had. Hitting a sidewalk would give him a fractured skull. Your head is round and the sidewalk is flat. You cannot, what was he doing? Rolling his head back and forth slowly like you do when you take fingerprints at the police station, and that's how he got those marks? That's ridiculous. Those are fingernail scratches. However, the ME, they cleaned him up, they cleaned his hands, that's why they weren't bagged. I mean, you say, oh, that's preposterous. Well, look at it this way. By all accounts, Trayvon was found face down, clutching the bullet wound to the middle of his chest, and yet he was bleeding out all over his hands, but one of his two hands had no blood on it. The only way that hand could have no blood on it is because it was cleaned, and it was cleaned to remove any evidence of Zimmerman's DNA under the nails. It's that simple. Now, everybody else out there, they're only purely looking at this from a political point of view. Everybody's looking at it as, like it's a big football game. Either your side's winning or your side's losing, and what people don't understand is when Zimmerman and when Zimmerman and Trayvon were running around out there behind the townhouses. They weren't arguing about Obama and Romney and, gay marriage and gun control and whatever. Just because it's political to you doesn't make it political. And my point of view, it isn't. My view is on an objective analysis of the evidence through using critical thinking and deductive reasoning. All you have to do is sit down and read the evidence. I mean, it's evidence is evidence. It's not Democrat evidence or Republican evidence. It's just stupid the way some people are looking at it. The prosecution of George Zimmerman was no more about banning guns as the prosecution of Lorena Bobbitt was about banning knives. I mean, Zimmerman killed a kid. And the reason, by the way, the reason Zimmerman killed a kid is because he was out there playing cop, literally. He screwed up. When Zimmerman originally saw Trayvon Martin and called it in, it's obvious and apparent that what he thought he had this kid, Emmanuel Burgess. Emmanuel Burgess was the one who committed not the list of burglaries, but there were 2 burglaries, one of which came out at the trial, the woman with the baby in her hand and the scissors. And Emmanuel Burgess, and there were no breaking and enterings. Emmanuel Burgess, on 2 different occasions, came in unlocked sliding glass doors. There were no breaking and enterings. Anyway, Emmanuel Burgess, according to some reports, lived in the next neighborhood over past the back gate. That's why they would always get away and go to the back gate. So when Zimmerman saw a young black male of approximately the same height, the same weight, and it was a rainy night, and Trayvon had his hoodie on, and he had his hood up over his head to protect himself from the rain. Well, Zimmerman thought he saw Emmanuel Burgess, and he swung into action. Here's the point. You don't have interns performing surgery on you. And the reason why is because they're not qualified. For the same reason, you don't send out a trainee cop out on the beat with a gun alone, because they're not qualified. In both instances, when you put unqualified people in there on a job where lives are at stake, people die. And that's what happened with Zimmerman. Zimmerman screwed up because he marked his suspect without making an ID on him. Next time, Zimmerman, it would probably behoove him to actually look at the suspect's face to make sure he got the right guy before you chase him down and shoot him. But that's just my idea. That's just one way of doing things. Another way of doing things is, just let Zimmerman do what he did and let the police, cover it up later. And that's what happened here. In my opinion, there should be a federal prosecution, and it shouldn't just pertain only to Zimmerman. They should cast a wide net over this. It should include some of the people from the Homeowners Association. It should include some of the people from the Sanford Police, who, according to this Homeowners Association newsletter, were being paid by the Homeowners Association to enforce HOA covenants or whatever. So that's just another way of saying that the HOA was just paying the Sanford Police to harass people that they didn't want to live there. Instead of hate crimes, as many people are speculating should be the charge, no, actually what they did is a violation of housing laws dating back to not only the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and the Fair Housing Act, but you're talking about the Civil Rights Act that dates back to the Reconstruction era post-Civil War. Anyway, Zimmerman's guilty. He always was guilty, and he always will be guilty. He never had a broken nose. That photo is a fake. It was manufactured well after the night of the shooting. There are rules of evidence. You just can't make up stuff on the fly and say, we took this picture a month ago and we just forgot about it. You have to believe us. And it's not about being on one side or the other. I mean, it's about everybody having their rights. One way to look at it, fairness and equal justice for all isn't just a good policy, it's also good politics. Everybody, is owed fairness. That's what the Constitution is all about. And, it failed Trayvon Martin. And, a lot of you people think that that's okay because the ends justify the means, and, it's okay to cut corners because Zimmerman's a good guy and this is the outcome that you wanted. But, think about it this way. What if the government decided to cut corners on you and it costs you your business or your home or some other property of yours or your liberty or even your life? You would probably think about it differently. That's why, we have the protocols and procedures for the admissibility of evidence, and all semblance of this was just basically blown off, and this picture was admitted into evidence. The fact that this picture, there's no documented proof that this picture existed any time before 22 days after the shooting, should alarm some people. It should alarm all people. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't think it's a big deal. It's just pathetic. Anyway, you can read more about, again, go to my redyankeepress.blogspot.com and, read all about it. Zimmerman gets a little help from a cracker or two. Basically, everything I wrote there was borne out by the trial. Check you later.